for a ride, just so you can see kind of what the culture is like. I would say the atmosphere of the parks and what a weekend looks like spring, Eastern Europe, or Balkan Europe, or Central Europe, depending on how nationalist you are. Yes, pretty slow day on Sunday. So for me, the metro thing is pretty new. Well, Carmen likes using it when she goes to get her nails done and whatever. But I was actually surprised at the quality that it's in and just how efficient it is to actually travel on public transport. You know, Americans talk a lot about the heavy car culture in America and how horrible our public transport is, but until you go to a country like this, or one that relies on public transport, you know, Thailand as well, it's kind of insane just how nice it is to get around, not having to find parking, pay for gas, car insurance, crazy stuff like that. And I'll show you guys up ahead what it looks like. We usually go get some coffee right across the street here, or buy some coffee from this guy. They have some nice high quality coffee beans we'll roast at home. And here's what a building looks like for you guys. It's fairly new. And it's peppered in between some old communist blocks, like the ones here on the left, and then the new stuff on the right that you see. So a bit of modernization happening all around. So now we're approaching the underground metro. This is what one of the quote stations look like. Not much from the outside. Just giving you a raw glimpse. Big current of wind. All right, and here we are paying for our ticket. 2 trips is, so you could see the price. What is that? 10 lei. Done. Sold your phone next to it. Pay. There it is. Okay. So you just put this in here. Or they have a tap on here too. I didn't even know that. Done. Opens and you go through. And now we wait. So yeah, this is actually much better shape than what I was thinking it would be. It's Carmen. And usually during the week, this comes every few minutes, right? Every couple of minutes during the week?
2 minutes.
Every 2 minutes. It's basically every time we've walked in here during the week, the train was like within 60 seconds of arriving. Either we got super lucky or what, I don't know. But now, let me show you the rest. This is us, we're on the M2, and we're going from where we're at there, all the way over to, do you know what stop it was?
Sorry?
Do you know what stop it was? I even forgot what stop it was. Tineretului, right, that one? What's the stop though? This one, right? Tineretului? I think we're stopping somewhere there, I believe.
No, maybe
No, we went past that to get to that park. So we went to, I believe, Tineretului, and then we walked straight out to the left. Yeah, we'll see. We're figuring it out still. Pretty empty. There's just one other person who's chilling. Train's coming from there, and this is what it looks like. Let me show you guys. I guess it's like perfect time to record. There's like barely any people here. It don't look like much. This is one of many stations under Bucharest. It's actually pretty expansive what this covers. This is one of the small stops, you could say. Yeah, it's actually, excuse me, incomparable to China, obviously, or some huge places like Moscow, but it gets the job done, honestly. What more could you ask for? So it was 10 lei. What is that conversion rate?
€2.
€2, which is less than, or like $2 then. $2. $2 will take you anywhere in the city. Anywhere, not just one line, but anywhere you want to go. We're taking the M2 line, but you could take whatever line.
Underneath, you can go in any direction.
So yeah, so as long as we stay underneath here and we don't go out there where the little gates were, you can practically travel infinite amount of times all over underground until you reach where you want to get out at. So there you go. Now we're gonna wait for the train to get here, and we'll show you what it looks like inside. And then hopefully we catch a bunch of people at the park relaxing on a Sunday. It's coming. Before it comes, I forgot to mention, this is one of the smaller stations. There's a really big one with like a whole marketplace underground too. A bunch of stores to go shopping and all that. We might stop there, I'm not sure. There you go. There are some people. There's the other train. And there you go. I mean, it's clean. Mostly clean. Yeah, graffiti, that's the only thing that like dirties it up. Honestly, it's that's it. The rest of this is very nice, as you can see. I mean, I've seen some videos of like rats and shit in New York subway and crazy stuff, but this is not bad considering it's Romania. There you go. And then here's the map. Take you guys to show you the map. If you can hear my voice. This is where we're going. And that's where we're stopping. Bam. But you could take any of these, it doesn't matter, for $2. That's it. We'll see you in a little bit. This one's way more full. We just exited. As you can see, whoop, this is a bit of a nicer one. Looks different. Larger station. The one we're at is very small and it's at the end of the line, that's why. There's other ones even bigger than this one. Newer looking, nicer. Those little cars, you could get a more permanent one, you could just recharge. We only got one for literally 2 trips, as in 2 people. And if you recharge it or get like a monthly pass, I guess it's going to be super cheap. We're talking $1 to travel. So imagine, we just spent waiting plus the trip itself 20 minutes to get across town from one end basically to the other. 20 minutes total. That's insane. 20 minutes total. With the car, it would have taken, it's taken us before to get not even that far, 40 minutes, especially during high traffic peak times of everybody going to work, coming to work, and lunch breaks. And the roads here suck. If you live in Bucharest, you know, I think it was ranked one of the worst for traffic and road quality. Congestion, I mean. Horrible, literally. The congestion here makes driving a pain in the ass. So now we're coming out of this place, and here you see this is another part of town. Nice CBR, by the way. I miss my bike. But this whole another part of town, it's got more older buildings and whatnot, but and this is the entry, and we're now headed down to that park we found pretty much on a whim. We were bored one day and decided to take the metro to a random part of town, and then we arrive here and we're like, oh cool, what's down this road? That's how we discover this park that we're about to show you. The honking thing, because people are crossing the road. She hates the driving here. I explained to her the driving culture differences between Eastern Europe and America. They are massive. People here drive like assholes. They will swerve in front of you. It is true, they're super aggressive. They honk all the fucking time. It's super annoying if you have to drive here, especially during traffic. People will constantly cut you. Not only just cut in front of you, but like 3-4 cars will cut in front of you, and one lane to turn to the left turns into like 3-4 lanes in the middle of the intersection. They're animals. There is no order here when it comes to driving, and the cops don't enforce anything. So if you're used to American driving, this will be a shocker for you. If you're a bit of an aggressive driver yourself and you hate how people fall asleep at the wheel and they take too long to turn or go after a green light, you'll love it here. It's basically full of people like that instantly floor it at a green light, instantly turn, don't wait for anybody. So in a sense, they're more awake here, but also super aggressive. Nice. Okay. So now we're in sector, I don't even know what sector we're in. I'm gonna guess 4. Yeah. It's super empty though, as you can see. This is, I forgot to say, I need to preface this saying that it is Easter holiday. So happy Easter to everybody. And in Eastern Europe in general, holidays are extremely celebrated. A very religious society. Easter is a big deal. When we were walking on the way to the train station, people were already having like barbecues and cookouts with some nice meat, all sorts of grilled meats. And by the way, this is how, it's not just this train station here, guys. This is another train station entry, but these are how you cross the roads too here. These connect to road crossings. That's pretty cool. Oh, the park looks full of people. And that's nice. What was I saying? Oh yeah, super religious, and holidays are highly celebrated, super festive, especially Easter. It's a big deal here. So almost every store is closed. Very few are open. There's no cafes, maybe a few restaurants, if that. Even those are closed now, huh? Restaurants are closed today too. Pretty much everything. Or at least their hours are severely limited. Let me show you guys what it looks like around here. There you go, we're crossing. Go, and we're headed over there where it's green. Beautiful. All right, see, this is the random shit I'm talking about. What the fuck is this guy doing? So he came from here, literally just turned, U-turned here straight up like a maniac. No fucks given.
Yeah.
Very much. Okay, yeah, this way. Park is to the right, and to the left, some businesses, or I guess business complex. U Center. Very nice looking. That's what I was telling you guys. You have communist blocks there, and then when you come out here, you have this nice new stuff where it's office buildings mixed with Auchan is like a grocer, like Kroger, I guess you could say, or whatever you have in your area. There's a coffee shop, but it's closed. Yeah. This essentially encapsulates Eastern Europe, where old meets new. Look. See? It's beautiful, brand new shit. And then when you look over here, you get these old communist buildings. But this whole side of the street is just completely redone within this entire business complex. Yeah. There you go. And then they have a beautiful park right here. Just cross the street, go up the steps, boom, you're there. We got pigeon galore here.
Ew.
Let's go walk in them all. Look at all these fucking pigeons, dude. Holy shit. They're being fed right now. Look at that girl.
Go there.
Cool. Okay. Little bike trails there if you guys want to BMX it and shit. You want some ice cream and mini donuts? How can we not? Let's go. They're called gogosh. If you want to do, so there's 12 or 6. There you go.
8 lei, so less than €2.
Yeah, 8 lei. Less than €2 for. I want this though. Give me that one. That's what I want. Yes. Huh?
You can choose 2 toppings.
Is that chocolate and vanilla? I'll do that. Okay.
Salut. Proszę două de la fermenter cu caramel salat. Ambele caramel.
Two, right?
What'd you want?
Also,
Same?
yes.
2 de gogoș mare și pentru topping. What do you want for your topping? Chocolate? Ciocolată? Vanilla? Jos aici? Și căpșuni, da, 2 mari. Una cu ciocolată și căpșuni și una cu smeură și ciocolată, te rog. Atâta, da.
Do they accept card?
Yeah. Cu card. We got it. You got the first batch coming out. Look at this. American flag is on here for some reason, but okay. Yeah. We're getting signs from the universe, yeah. So this is what we got here. And we're gonna try to find a nice shaded area further down the way. So what's cool about Bucharest, or I guess you could say Europe in general, is they're very nature-centric. There are parks absolutely everywhere. And this one is, well, we caught a good time. Since it's the holidays, most people are not going to be at the park. It is a Sunday, so some Some people will be out here relaxing, but most people are spending time with the family, eating some grilled food, chilling with grandparents, the extended family. It's a huge deal. But still, this is a perfect way for you guys to see kind of what it's like. I don't know why they have the American flag, or they call these American donuts. These are not American donuts. These are Romanian donuts. They're called gogosh, and they're very good. I guess because the syrup on top. We just put, what is that? That powdered sugar on there normally for the Romanian ones. Yeah. This is the only thing, honestly, that I think makes this place not seem as nice as it should be, is the graffiti, dude. That's it. That's like the only real complaint. Otherwise, look, it's just beautiful nature, forest, and like I was saying earlier, there's parks absolutely everywhere peppered around the city. So we're just gonna go all the way down here, past these trees, find a place to sit down and eat, and then we'll show you what the rest of the park looks like. Hopefully you'll find some nice grassy area to picnic in. So, just finished eating our American donuts. And I wanted to mention something interesting that we were talking about off camera. She got 10 donuts. I got 11 donuts. If you remember earlier, if you rewind it said whatever it was the price was, but it was 12 donuts. This is the abundance versus scarcity mentality that you'll notice. So this is what I like about America. If you were to go order the same thing, sometimes you would get extra. Maybe the dude put an extra donut in and wouldn't care. But you would always get your 12. If it says it's for 12, the law and order in the United States, you would have gotten 12. Here in the Balkans and in Eastern Europe, they come from a scarcity mentality. That guy, so unless you're going to count your fucking donuts and be like, hey bro, you're short a few donuts. They do this. This is very common actually here. So one donut here, 2 donuts in hers, another donut for someone else, that could represent like 50 fucking donuts saved. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of product. Scarcity mentality. Not the same. Like Western Europe's probably different. Germany, they're very anal about punctuality, rules, laws, order. Same shit with Switzerland, all that stuff. But here in the Balkans, guys, you will get scammed in little ways like this. And it's one of the many ways. You have to understand the mentality difference. And this is what holds a lot of people back here. The scarcity mentality. And we've ran into some issues like this before, not just with donuts, but with other things in general, where you can just see it play out in the general lives and the behaviors of the people here. So unfortunate. I just want to mention that real quick before we go to the next spot. Differences you'll notice. Cleanliness. No homeless people. No tents. There's some guy there chilling in like a hammock. Very family oriented. You just see young people with families. Some grandmas hanging around. There's other pathways, and it's huge. If you could see just how deep the park goes over there. Let me see. Look at that. Way out there. Yeah, like a week ago, snowing here. Yeah. Not even joking. Weather's been crazy in Europe. Yeah, this park's absolutely massive. There's like a hill area there for a view. I think that's where you could go up to see the water down there. We'll show you guys that some water, but whatever. You're getting the gist of everything. All right, we just took like a quick detour, literally like 1 minute up that main walkway we were on. And if you go to the right, this is what you see. Look at this. This is nuts. And you can tell it's spring. Look, it hasn't even fully greened yet. Look how tall this grass is. And there's people like barbecuing up there. Imagine you come out here for a little picnic. People are just in hammocks, dude, relaxing. We're in a 4-way cross. Where do we go? Straight? Let's go straight. The grass looks a bit nicer here. This stuff's tall, dude. It's up to your waist. Empty field over there. People picnicking. Look at that. Another picnic. the lake.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Oh, hello, hello. There we go. Let me fix the chat box. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully everybody's had a good weekend. Had a crazy, crazy weekend develop, yes? Politics is exploding. Lock, unlock. Let's put the chat up above here. All right, dope. Oh, somebody make a, okay, there we go. There's the long chat. Where do we stick this chat box, guys? Where do you think? Type in the chat, long as hell. Long chats. I need to see how far out this goes. I figure out where to put this thing. Yeah, we want long ass text. Welcome in, guys. Okay. Okay, damn, that thing is huge. All right. All right, just updated it. Hopefully I didn't break it. If I did, it's all good. Let's see. Whoa, Jesus Christ. Okay. Is it too small now? I just made it too small now. Guys, I'm breaking my own chat box. Excusez-moi. I'm gonna figure out how to adjust this and then we'll get started. What if I just make this much bigger? There. All right, spam the chat real quick. There. Testing, testing. We'll make it a little smaller. That should be big enough, right? We don't want chat to take up too much space, no? If people want to read that shit, they can just pay attention. Okay. My Sunday meal prep is invaded by Bo. Nice. Okay, so now we got to do this. That one's ready to rock. Where's the chat box on here? Once we figure that out, we'll be ready to rock. Actually, I just may need to copy paste this. Chat.
and $4.99. The Skibbity Ohio Rizzler is live.
Thank you, brother. No clue what that means, but I appreciate you. There we go. This one we'll put up here. All right, ready to rock. Spam the chat one more time. Let's double check this. And we're ready to rock. I got an insane one for you guys. Actually blew my mind. Dope. Testing. Excellent. How do I get... All right, one more check. The alignment sucks. We'll have to figure that out later. I want to get it all to align on the left. Okay. Doesn't seem like that's a thing here, but fine. Whatever, we'll have a ghetto chat box. It's all good. Okay. Maybe we'll put it up here, actually. There we go. Is there a bot in chat? All right, we're ready to rock. Welcome in. We're starting with this. This is absolutely ridiculous to me before we get into the other crazy stuff. Where was it? Somebody sent me this in the email. It's at tribeofmen@yahoo.com if you want to send stuff in, but I couldn't believe it. I only watched literally the first few seconds and I go, all right, this is perfect. Let's begin. It's ridiculous, to say the least.
Accused of marrying a man without him even knowing about it.
Listen to this story. So a Waco woman is facing charges after marrying her ex-boyfriend without him even knowing.
So many of you may be shocked to know that you could be legally married without even knowing about it. Let's talk about it.
Is it me? Oh, it's not me.
Now, before we learn how police unravel this mystery, here's a quick message from the sponsor of this video, ZocDoc. You ever do anything weird, something's off? Your eye swollen, your neck got a weird pain, doctor's appointments comment. This is Kristen Spearman. She's 36 years old and she lives in the city of Beverly Hills, Texas, not California. It's a couple of miles outside of Waco, Texas, which most people are familiar with. Now, on June 2nd, 2025, Spearman and her then boyfriend, who's 42 years old, applied for a marriage license. Now, to really understand how this scheme occurred, I have to educate you on family law, specifically what it takes to get married in certain states. Now, I'm going to be speaking about the law very broadly and then very specifically to Texas. Now, in Texas, there are two ways that the state recognizes a marriage. You have formal marriages and you have informal marriages. Now, formal marriages are simple. They require first you and your partner go and get a valid marriage license. Now, to get a marriage license, both parties must appear in person with ID. Now, just because you have the marriage license doesn't mean you're married. Now you have to go through part 2, which is a ceremony. Now, the ceremony can be performed by a priest, pastor, or even justice of the peace. Now, after that ceremony is complete with both parties present at the ceremony, then the license is signed and returned to the county clerk's office, which records the marriage for all to see. And at that point, you are legally married. Now, there's also an informal marriage that Texas recognizes, also commonly known as common law marriage. Now, for common law marriage, you can get about the marriage certificate and the ceremony. Only thing you need is 2 people who are living together and they
Who invented common law? That's the craziest thing of this. Like, somebody really thought to make something like that legal. Like, where our system is so crazy.
Present the intent to be married. And the law also requires them to hold themselves out publicly as husband and wife, as a married couple. Now, if you check those 3 boxes, then you are officially married informally under Texas law. Now, no matter which way you slice it, either formal or informal marriages, both parties must be present and show intent to be married in both cases. So now that you know all that, let's talk about what happened in this case. See, Kristen Spearman and her boyfriend decided to get married. And the first step on the road to getting married is getting a marriage license. And that's what Kristen and her boyfriend did. They obtained a marriage license.
Well, police say she and her ex had got a marriage license earlier this month, but they broke up after a fight.
He told police that he and Spearman got a marriage license earlier this month, but then broke things off.
So they went through step 1, obtaining a marriage license. But unfortunately, they broke things off before they got to step 2, which is having the ceremony. Kirsten wanted to be married to this man, but he broke it off. So how could she still get married? She had the license. She had already gone through step 1. So she decided to go through step 2 alone. Now, the law requires that both parties be there at the ceremony to say, I want to be married to this person. But Kirsten was able to trick a priest into marrying her to this man without him being there.
Police say the...
Explain that shit to me. How do you trick a priest? Explain that to me. Did she suck the priest off or what? Can I get an explanation by how this could possibly happen?
The woman convinced a pastor to officiate the wedding without the man's presence or knowledge.
When I was talking to the lieutenant, I said, I don't think in 23 years I've ever heard of anybody who managed somehow to get married to someone who wasn't present for a ceremony.
Come on, man.
I've talked to the victim, and he's going through a significant process to try to have to fix this at this point.
So she's done it. She is now married to this guy, but he doesn't know. So what does she do? Well, she then goes and files the marriage license with the state, becomes officially married to this man, and then leaves a copy of the marriage license in a bag on his steps.
Well,
Can you imagine this? This is crazy nut job levels like 1,000. Think about what she just did. She blew the priest, allegedly. Allegedly. We're alleging.
Bruh.
Then, after somehow getting the paperwork, she comes to your house, drops off a bag saying you're fucked for life. Talk to me. What do? What's your next move here? Oh man, you got checkmated.
Police say she and her ex had got a marriage license earlier this month, but they broke up after a fight. Then the woman convinced a pastor to sign them without her ex being there.
So after that, she just filed the license with the county, and police say that her ex found out. This is after she left a gift bag on his doorstep with a copy of the marriage license inside.
So because of this obvious fraud, local officials charged Kristen with third-degree felony stalking.
An unusual wedding in Texas lands the bride in jail.
Kristen Spearman was arrested for third-degree felony stalking.
Wow, justice. That's good. Hey, justice. This man must have had a crazy amount of records. Justice. Woman arrested for stalking. Ex-girlfriend files marriage license. What in the world is happening in the world?
To have had a relationship with her in the past, but that it had ended before the bizarre wedding.
Can you imagine the pipe this dude was slanging? His meat stick was just casting spells. He was like, just like those dudes that are fucking, what are they? What do they call those dudes with the king cobras and shit? Unreal, dude. Got her. Not even stalking. Dickmatizes, it's like one way to describe this. The devil D. The snake charmers, yes. Dude is the fucking poon charmer. Got her ass to fake a marriage certificate. Just unbelievable, dude. You can't make this shit. This is like movie stuff. And it's just happening to the dude next door who's got the fucking king cobra. Crazy.
There.
So now you may be thinking, hey, this is fraud. Why did they charge her with stalking? Well, they charged her with third-degree felony stalking under Texas law because the authorities are saying she engaged in a pattern of behavior by falsely filing a marriage certificate and sending it to her ex-boyfriend. She did that to cause him emotional distress. Now, even though there were no physical threats, Texas law defines stalking to include actions that would make a reasonable person feel harassed, alarmed, or threatened. And if you or this guy and you find a package in front of your door with a marriage license saying you're legally married to your crazy ex when you didn't go through the ceremony, that would cause someone to feel alarmed and threatened. Now, prosecutors are seeking anywhere between 2 and 10 years in prison if she's convicted of stalking. Now, Kristen then bailed out of jail and was given a protective order saying that she had to stay away from her victim, her ex-boyfriend. So the first question is this marriage valid? But this marriage is obviously invalid because there was no mutual consent and there was no ceremony.
Wow, is there updates in the comments? This is a loophole. This is someone lying and breaking the law. She faces 10 years, but we know because reasons. Yeah, damn. This woman illegally married her ex and some people can't get a text back. Ooh, that's a good one. That's good. Everyone with an evil ex-girlfriend has a new fear-in-law. What's the difference from putting a man's name on a birth certificate knowing he's not the father? Now, this is actually a great question, by the way. What is the difference between claiming somebody is the daddy of that kid who isn't? And the guys actually get screwed completely. The courts, if you don't show up on time to petition and say that's not your kid, you get dumped with the father responsibilities. You have to pay for you can wake up with back tax. There's many men that have woken up owing back taxes on child support for kids that are not theirs. It's insane that this can happen. And then all the stories that we've seen before, it's so fucking hard to get out of the back child support because the state's not going to take the fall for that. And if they can't find a daddy, they're not even incentivized to make the change. They won't. So you can get stuck and then get put in jail on top of that. It's insane. Fighting that is crazy, man. Stories like that really put men off from a marriage in the West completely. The court bias is crazy. The whole fact that, women want to talk the 50-50 shit during divorce court, but when it's dating, it's you need to pay for everything. You need to do everything for it. You ain't a real man, blah, 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 blah. It's fucked. It's fucked from the get-go. It says, I'm glad the pastor's willing to pay for the annulment. The fuck? I don't think he had a choice, bro. The amount of heat he was looking at, of course he was going to pay for that shit. Oopsie. That blowjob wasn't worth it, was it, pastor? Huh. Yeah, the pastor should be charged too. I think so. That's fraud. Clear fraud. Oh, boy. Where to even begin? Okay. We have to talk about it because it's trending everywhere. I posted it up on my community post under under Legion of Men, excuse me. And are you tired of winning yet? Are you tired of winning? I don't mean to shit on you MAGA types. You voted for somebody and they let you down. This is not what you voted for. Legitimately, what it looked like in the beginning, I feel for you guys. Here's what it looked like in the beginning. A coalition was being built. There was ex-Democrats, centrists, progressives, and Republicans, and non-rhino Republicans, the new MAGA Republicans, and they all formed a coalition. And what they were running on was actually incredible. We wanted America to be healthy again. We wanted America to be great again. We wanted to tariff other countries. We wanted mass deportations. We wanted, you know, the rule of law to be instituted. We didn't want any more woke crap in schools. We wanted to empower parents, and we wanted to get out of the debt that we're under as a nation, the insane spending. We wanted a lot of things, and that's what the administration ran on. And then somehow, some way, month after month after month, it seems like the promises that were made were not promises kept. We've gotten little crumbs here and there. For example, mass deportations are not mass at all. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be mass amnesty for hospice workers, those farmers that are picking the very basics. Where is it here? I have it here somewhere. Can't find it. Okay. But people in hospitality, people in farming, things like that will get mass amnesty because the business community is getting absolutely destroyed. So fine. Fine. We can't have it, yeah? Okay. Then he ran on the Epstein list, and that was a big deal. He even said himself, release the files, all this stuff. Pam Bondi, we're going to get those files. We're going to have, you know, Patel at the FBI with me there at the helm. I'm going to fix the FBI, make them impartial, make them fight crime again, not picking on Americans. Dan Bongino went over there, and we thought, okay, cool, this is like a dream team. We're all going to get some justice here for those children, but justice for everything else that the previous administration was doing. Okay. So many other things that the administration promised is starting to blow up. And in a horrible way, too. So I'll play this video, and then we'll go do a deeper dive into this. But
this is truly unusual breaking news. You know the breaking news animation. You know sometimes the news is big, significant, serious. This one is unusual. A major escalation in what is increasingly a kind of political, quiet, peaceful civil war, but a civil war of political proportions.
No, it's a bipartisan issue. The left and the right want to see the Epstein files because we want PEDs to go to prison. We do not want criminals in our government. We do not want criminals protected in our government. We don't want to use any files to wring people's arms and blackmail heads of other state and all that. We want it all exposed. We want to see who the creepers are. Why do we want that? Because we want to govern cleanly in a moral way. We don't want to protect criminal organizations of the nastiest, most disgusting degree that you could ever imagine, child diddlers. We don't. It's that simple.
For MAGA over these Epstein files, and it's roiling the Trump administration at quite literally the highest levels. Sources detailing the ongoing clash over a fight that could cost someone their job. Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi clashing with the FBI number 2 official Dan Bongino. As everybody who follows these kind of stories knows, technically the AG oversees the FBI, but if you remember Comey or other strong-willed FBI officials, when you're at that number 1, number 2 level, they sometimes fight with the DOJ. Sources say Bongino is so upset about all this, he's saying maybe he'll just leave, which would be a very quick tenure, by the way, and he would be leaving in a sort of protest or criticism of Bondi's handling of the Epstein files. Other outside agitators, including Tucker Carlson, saying she's lost confidence, maybe she has to go. He was not at work today, reportedly. Sources also say Bondi and Bongino got into a heated clash Wednesday in a high-level meeting with him, her, FBI Director Patel, and Donald Trump's number 1 person who tracks all this stuff and makes the big staffing decisions, Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, who, of course, also ran the Victoria's campaign. Axios has a report on this where Pam says her piece, Dan says his piece, didn't end on friendly terms. Bongino left angry. And you don't need to be a scholar of reporting or Watergate level intrigue to know somebody in this small meeting is leaking this stuff to Axios if it's true. A source close to Bongino saying he ain't coming back.
But it looks like he may be. I know Kash Patel just dropped a message, actually. It was a Twitter post or an X post. He said, the conspiracy theories just aren't true. Never have been. It's an honor to serve the President of the United States, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he calls on me. And that is after he got called in to the White House to have some sort of meeting, because what happened was Trump posted this giant post.
Epstein story, it's the double down right here on Truth Social.
And he got ratioed hard on Truth Social. Well, what did he write? As you can see on the screen, let me pull it up on my own phone. It is incredible that this is absolutely happening. I had the post here. It says, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. 1984, you guys. And he wrote, what's going on with my boys and in some cases gals, as you can see it on the screen. This is absolutely incredible to me, the deflection. After Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job, we're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of Jeffrey Epstein, or so, the talk of the world. Okay. The talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies. Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama? He's blaming the Democrats. Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax. We're deflecting now. Okay? And the laptop from hell and more and all this stuff. He says, why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? Maybe because you're all in it. Maybe. Allegedly. Right? Every one of you on both sides of the aisle. If there was anything in there they could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? Also, why don't you release it? That's not an excuse, right? Why don't you just release the files? Because you've confirmed, at least Pam Bondi has, that the files were on her desk. That's what's so weird about this. Right? No matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, only certain people are getting deported. Not everybody, because you want to give them amnesty. Right? Fixing the economy, energy dominance, safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons because we bombed a sovereign nation. The no-war president that Netanyahu said deserves a Pulitzer Peace Prize, right? Can you imagine? And says we're saving our country, making America great again. Yada, yada, yada. You could look at this tweet yourself. We don't have to go through it all, but I think CoffeeZilla here breaks it down.
But today it goes a...
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Come on,
it just seems like a desecration.
But today it goes a step further. Quick context. There's been a lot of infighting in the Republican Party over basically who's at fault for the giant botch of the Epstein files, with the majority of Republicans not wanting to believe that...
Yeah, that's a great. Why is Ghislaine, what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever they want to call her. Why is she in prison for a victimless crime? She trafficked nobody to nobody. Does that make any fucking sense to anybody? Ghislaine, there you go. Thank you, Ghislaine Kane. Appreciate it. Ghislaine Maxwell trafficked nobody to nobody and is facing how many years in prison? Weird.
That Trump himself was against the full release, but rather that he was sort of tricked into not releasing the Epstein files by one of his lackeys. But today, Donald Trump came out and basically backed Pam Bondi, saying they're all going after Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job all over a guy.
Is Pam Bondi doing a fantastic job? Ones or twos in the chat? Ones, yes. Twos and no. Please, anybody here think, any arrest in general, please, give me twos. Ones for yes, twos for no. If anybody legitimately is impartial and just says like, hey, Pam Bondi, so far in the administration, has she done a good job? Where are all the arrests we were promised? I see a singular one and nothing but twos. So nobody. And he's getting ratioed on his own Truth Social. Everybody in their posts, in his response to that tweet you saw, everybody's cooking the president. That's the first post he's ever made where he's getting ratioed hard.
Who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Democrats who In fact, some of the people who want this the most are people on the right, even on Truth Social. Obviously a hugely Trump-favored place. Everybody is saying, no, this is unacceptable. You have to release the files. Later in the post, Trump also says that these are radical left-inspired documents and to not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. But actually, we all do care about it. You know who doesn't actually want this out? The elites. That's why they've never done it. That's why it was a compelling pitch when Donald Trump hinted to his base that maybe he was going to release the files. People largely didn't trust the job that Biden had done. That's why it was a compelling story. So the idea now that it was Biden and Obama who invented the Epstein files is absolutely preposterous. They don't want that out either. And maybe that's because, as a producer of 60 Minutes alleged, Ghislaine Maxwell implied that there were tapes on Trump and also tapes on Clinton. You know who else said it? Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, saying Epstein said, what I know about both candidates, the 2016 election would have to be canceled. So this whole idea that this is a left or right thing, it's not. It's the elites. Anybody who was on...
I've told you guys since the very beginning, this is class warfare. Left, or I should say red or blue, they don't care about you. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody believes it. They all think it's like, whatever, bro. Whoever you vote for, they help themselves first. You laugh. Do you think the big, beautiful bill helped you again? There's a conspiracy theory going around. Excuse me. Tell me if you've heard this. The conspiracy theory is that somehow Trump got a hold of the list, and that's what he used as leverage on all these congressmen to get the bill passed. And he's playing some 4D chess. This is Maximum Cope I'm reading from the most ardent supporters, that he's leveraging the black book Epstein had in order to get the big, beautiful bill passed and a bunch of other legislation. When you're able to twist something in that way with your diehard zealot support, there's nothing you can tell some of these people. So somebody, look, we have them in the comments. That actually makes sense. If that makes sense, then why was the big, beautiful bill basically benefiting rich people only? If you've actually looked at the bill, you understand that most normal people, the average American, is going to get fucked from the big, beautiful bill overall, on top of our entire government that is going to be in debt to the tune of trillions on top of. Talk to me, guys. If he really did have dirt on everybody, why aren't things passing easier for him? Why does he have so much friction with, let's just say, activist judges? Why doesn't he just absolutely just, net? It's nothing but net on everything he's proposing. It doesn't make sense. You can't say you used it to blackmail them into passing the big, beautiful bill, but then also you're meeting Netanyahu at the office like 30 million times, and then also you had to bomb Iran, and then you also had to do other things that were against your exact voter base that's causing friction in MAGA itself. You're burning down your own movement by not releasing the thing people want. You're burning down your own movement by potentially starting wars or conflicts. What else did MAGA not want, guys? Rearming Ukraine. Do you know what we're doing right now? Please. Seriously. I'll put this up for you guys right here. Trump's sudden shift on weapons. He mentioned this earlier.
Weapons to Ukraine, as you said last night. Last week, the Pentagon paused some shipments of weapons to Ukraine. Did you approve of that pause?
We wanted to put defensive weapons because Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending...
I want you guys to remember, MAGA, were we not promised, please, 24 hours, I'll end this war. I know Putin. He's a good friend. I know Zelensky. He wants to make a deal. I can make a deal with these guys. Biden is weak. This war wouldn't have happened under me. And then I'll end it within 24 hours. How did we go from that to I'm going to rearm Ukraine? Come on, guys. Think about this. We're going to rearm Ukraine. Really? Really?
Some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that.
So who ordered the pause last week?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
I think that's a question for the Pentagon.
He's upset.
You said in an interview this.
Come on, man. Does this make any sense to you guys?
Isaac sent $10. I've been looking historical things in America's past and I've come to agree with you, Bo. Red or blue doesn't matter.
Thanks, Isaac. It's 100% them versus us, and it's always been that way. And that's why the messaging always hurts the poor. And that's why every single president you get after voting reneges on the campaign trail promises. And that's why things always get harder for you. Cost of living keeps increasing. The debt keeps on rising. The dollar keeps getting debased. Our money keeps going overseas. Your jobs get shipped overseas. Corporations keep getting richer. They post record profits. The fiduciary duties for the investors always trump what the worker needs or wants. And CEOs, the ratio of pay compared to average employees keeps rising at 300 plus to 1 ratio now. Come on. People are dying here. People are starving here. People are struggling. People are ending up homeless. People don't have money for fucking groceries. And you're telling me that we're winning and that red or blue, somebody's winning here, you're getting helped? Life's getting better for you under any administration, right? Has it? Really? Or are we kicking the can down the road? Do you want to know the most oppressive tax you could possibly have? It's government printing money. It's called the debt ceiling. Everything else is all political theater. Until we can crush the debt issue in this country and stop issuing all these dollars, nothing will change. Your life will get harder under Trump. Things will become more expensive. The dollar loses value every single year. Do you know why? They keep printing dollars and they're not backed by any hard asset. They keep printing money, inflating the debt to show economic growth. The numbers are fucking cooked. We're done for. Oh my God, bro, we're not taxing your tips. As if that makes up for the fact that you just printed so much fucking money that even the money I get to keep from no tax, tips, or overtime will not be enough with the runaway inflation we're dealing with. If you don't stop the printing, you won't stop the inflation. Doesn't matter how much money you get to keep. It's worthless. You can't buy anything. You understand how this works? You understand why it feels so oppressive? Because they turned your money into shit. You can wipe your ass with it.
On that plane, anybody who was associated with Epstein, seen with Epstein, even if they did nothing wrong, they don't want that out. Everyone who wasn't seen with Epstein, wasn't on that plane, of course they all want the files out. And what's interesting is obviously the Trump administration has sort of played footsie with this idea for a long time, playing to their base. They know this is a big issue. They had the influencers stand out there with a bunch of released material. But we also showed clips of Donald Trump implying that maybe Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew were doing bad things on the island.
Bill Clinton.
Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island.
That island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew.
So consistently, Trump has hinted that maybe these guys were involved with Epstein. Maybe it was bad. But turns out all these guys knew each other and knew Epstein. We know this in part from a Piers Morgan interview where he talks to a lady who went to a dinner party with Trump, Clinton, Epstein, and Prince Andrew.
Extraordinary collection of very high-powered people. How did they all interact with Epstein? How did Trump, Clinton, and Prince Andrew interact with him?
Everyone was very, very pally with him. You know, it was like there was a close bonds. You could see that.
So these guys knew each other, apparently had dinner parties together, all of them together. Trump later accuses two of the guys of doing bad things. And then when we release the files, can we release the files? Well, no, actually, no, we can't do that. Nobody cares about that.
Those guys totally diddled kids. I didn't diddle any kids, but those disgusting people diddled kids. Now, about that list, we've investigated and there's nothing in there. It's a conspiracy. It's actually Democrats who did it. It's all fake. Move on. I closed the border. I gave you no tax on tips. Can you get over it already? Can you see why people are upset? And the left is like, got what you voted for? You got what you voted for. But what they won't tell you is that no, actually, none of the MAGA got what they voted for.
Ivy Intia sent $4.99. Fell for it again and again and again award. Fell for it 50x. The way they're running circles around y'all, you'd think this was track and field.
Yeah. I think this is great, dude. It's accelerating the process where we need to be arriving as a civilization, understanding that this nation is corrupt and that both parties are shit and they're ran by people who don't have your interest at heart, but interest of special interest in corporations. That's their masters. That's who they serve. And our country got sold out decades ago, and we're dealing with the repercussions of money in politics, and it will not change until we somehow start a third party. And as crazy as Elon is with his H-1B super group, third party for America, you know, it is what it is. What other option do we have? Who else do we have? We have to start somewhere and start siphoning votes away from the two-party system. There's no way after all this has happened that you could defend this in any way anymore. There's no way, man. Jeez.
The reason why seems obvious. Epstein knew Prince Andrew. Yes, he knew Bill Clinton. Yes. But he also knew Donald Trump. And recently, tapes were released of Epstein talking and calling Donald Trump his closest friend.
So how do you know this? Donald's closest friend.
So it makes intuitive sense to distance yourself.
Listen. They got him on recording. Jeff Epstein said I was Donald's closest friend for 10 years, guys. 10 years. Of course you want to distance yourself from this guy. 10 years. You knew this dude. You don't think you had intimate knowledge knowing somebody for 10 years in the halls of power like that? That what they were doing, what was going on? Come on, man. You really, you have to have your head buried in the sand and just pretend that this is not happening. Just pretend that this isn't a problem.
So it makes intuitive sense to distance yourself from files that may or may not have your name in it, and even distance yourself from the people involved. It's worth stating Trump actually denied knowing Prince Andrew.
I don't know Prince Andrew.
Of course, this was immediately debunked by photos showing the two together. And of course, showing that they clearly knew each other as of 2000. Now, the reason you would deny knowing Prince Andrew, even though you did, is obvious. At the time, he was facing allegations related to Epstein. By the way, allegations that now are basically over. Prince Andrew is very happy about us dropping the Epstein probe. A source for The Sun said he's only been abroad once since the scandal erupted. Prince Andrew has always been very nervous about going abroad and always looking over his shoulder, as he should be in my opinion. But now he's very happy because the guy who never met him but was photographed with him in 2000 just ended the investigation. Now I have to say Trump's...
Are they even trying? Like, this is the sloppiest op I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is the worst cover-up possible. It's like a 5-year-old was like, come up with a game plan, kid. How are we going to cover this up? I know. Just pretend you don't know him. Just say you looked into it and nothing happened. And Cyslop. It's Cyslop. Yeah, really? Is anybody here buying this shit with half a brain functioning? Unreal.
Been pretty consistent on the fact he has no interest in releasing the Epstein files in full. He said this multiple times. The reason most people have sort of a false memory of this, the reason it's sort of a Mandela effect that he campaigned on the idea of releasing the Epstein files, is because Fox News released a deceptively edited clip where they cut out the part where he said, yeah, I'll probably release the Epstein files. And they cut out the part where then he backtracks on that completely.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
And that's the part most of us saw. Of course, later, people found out that the full clip showed him saying basically the opposite.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
We also have Bill O'Reilly on News Nation saying he just talked to Trump back on St. Patrick's Day, and Trump basically said the same thing.
He said, and I agree, there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had...
Come on, man.
Eric Z sent $9.99. Bo, thank you for putting out good content and guiding men to become better within themselves. Keep up the good fight, brother. Keep exposing all their BS.
Appreciate you, brother, for the support. Thank you for tuning in. I'm trying.
Some correspondence for one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed. Because it's not going to...
Well, you were hanging out with a pet. I'm sorry if I don't feel anything for mega rich people that were hanging around with a well-known pet. And that maybe your name will be tarnished because you were hanging around with a pet. Sorry if I don't give a singular fuck about your reputation being destroyed for hanging out with a guy everybody knew was doing what he was doing. All the powerful people. Why else would he have all these powerful people around him? Right? Networking, bros, networking. Exactly. It's just, we were at some, business meetings and we had these events and like he was there and we just took a picture and I totally didn't know him for 10 years. He was my good friend. Oh, fuck, the leaked voice call, him saying directly that he was my best. Fuck, that was fake. AI did that. That was fake, just like, the FBI, we've released the full footage of the night he did some stuff to himself, and there's a minute missing. It was exported by, Premiere Pro 4 different fucking times and edited. Don't worry about that part, though. This is the raw footage. Nothing happened. Trust us. Okay, bro.
Be any context. Media doesn't care about context. So you can't do that.
So over and over, we've seen the same answer from the president. Not the fact that, oh no, the Epstein files, it's a lefty conspiracy. No, actually, it's the worry that people in the files are going to have their lives destroyed by the files. That sounds a lot more like covering for the people in the files than it does covering the victims.
Yeah, insanity. Forget Epstein. Go back to being divided on every issue, America. There's nothing to unite about. Yeah. Don't stop. Please don't stop. Everybody, you need to talk about this. If only a few creators were talking about this, oh boy, would they try to shut it down. And I've already seen them try to shut this down. He has a video here that he got dinged for this. He called it the worst cover-up in his lifetime. Check this out. It literally comes with a warning. Let's see. Oh, he got it down.
The worst cover-up of my lifetime.
A lot of information.
Okay, he got it fixed. There's a bunch of videos earlier from multiple channels that were getting the self-delete hotline. And I know for a fact that when your video gets tagged with that, they demonetize it. So it's good that he managed to get that removed. Okay. So they're trying to actively suppress and ding channels talking about this very topic. That's what's crazy. But okay, I digress. Oh, here's the mass amnesty thing. Yes, this is what I was talking about. So MAGA, we're winning, right? Let's keep winning somehow.
The day before President Donald Trump was signing the big, beautiful bill, I got a couple phone calls from people that you would call members of the ruling class. A lot of money and a lot of connections. They said, Charlie, isn't this amazing? We passed the big, beautiful bill. I said, oh, yes, sir. And they said, now we need mass amnesty. What? I said, we haven't even signed the bill yet. They said, yeah, these deportations, we're going to lose the midterms because of the deportations. The people on the right, they'll understand.
You know how hard Charlie Kirk slurps the right? When the slurper is telling you that we're looking for mass amnesty and that they're flip-flopping on policy issues, you need to listen. When Charlie Slurp says, watch out, that we're somehow getting screwed. MAGA, we're getting screwed. Or a sigh slurp. Boys, when somebody that glazes as hard as Charlie Slurp says, what the fuck's going on? And they're shocked. You're not getting what you voted for.
And we need to come to the middle, and we need to legalize the 25 million people here in this country. I was speechless.
Man.
There's a lot of talk right now that Trump is looking to make illegal immigrants, give them amnesty, just like Ronald Reagan did. And this is what he said on July 3rd.
Tom Homan. And we're working on legislation right now. Susie, right? We're working on legislation right now where farmers, look, they know better. They work with them for years. You had cases where, not here, but just even over the years, where people have worked on a farm for 14, 15 years, and they get thrown out pretty viciously, and we can't do it. We got to work with the farmers and people that have hotels and leisure properties too.
Can't do it.
We're going to work with them, and we're going to work very strong and smart, and we're going to put you in charge. We're going to make you responsible. And I think that that's going to make a lot of people happy. Now, serious radical right people, who I also happen to like a lot, they may not be quite as happy, but they'll understand, won't they? Do you think so? Madam Secretary, look at you.
So they'll understand. So the people who I promised that I would deport illegal immigrants and stop them from taking, they're going to understand. They're going to understand what Trump.
Can you believe it? Can you believe the winning that's happening? Another winning award, mass deportations. Oh, man. Everybody on the right, everybody supported him for these policies. Where do you win? What do you get? Where's the mass deportation? Amnesty? We're talking amnesty now. Holy shit, dude. We're not getting almost fucking anything. And then they shoved a big, beautiful bill down your throat. And they're like, here, take some more winning while we lube up the huge twin-headed dildo to go up your rear. Because it's coming and you're going to get effed for it all. Unreal, man. Unbelievable.
Trump, that we're going to not deport people.
And the argument is always from the other guys, right? The supporters, excuse me. The argument is, well, it's better than Kamala. Well, it would have been worse under Kamala. How about we don't want a shit sandwich, period. Obviously, it would have been worse under the nut job Dems. Of course, their policies are completely fucking insane. But that doesn't mean that we voted for this. If you voted for the right, this is nothing that he campaigned on. This is literally the opposite of everything he campaigned. We didn't want to deal with Israel and their problems in the Middle East. We don't want to bomb other fucking countries. Enough wars. We don't want to keep paying for Ukraine. We don't want mass migrants. We don't want any of this shit. Can it stop him? Can we make America first? Right? Can we make America great? Can we focus on Americans and our problems back home? Can we make people pay to be in our markets with tariffs? Can we do all this shit? Can we please? That's what we are. Can we make America healthy again? Can we fuck with big pharma and the food industry and all those lobbyists that completely took over the health of Americans, makes us sick? Can we please? That's what everyone voted for. And now, what'd you get? Even, dude, even, oh, hold on. It doesn't stop here. What was it? RFK Jr. Was it Moderna? Approved. Let me just search that. I believe it was RFK Jr. Moderna. Was it Moderna or Pfizer that just got approved? Moderna COVID vaccine gets full approval for children. The approval comes amid regulatory upheaval under HHS Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Yep. You got what you voted for, didn't you? Wow. Where do we win? Where do we win? Okay.
People, like we said, and we're not going to deport farm workers or hotel workers or construction workers, or we're not going to deport any of those people. And so what does that mean? That sounds like he's going to give them amnesty. It
sounds like
sounds
H-1B visa stuff to me.
What's that?
Sounds like Vivek Pastrami talk to me.
Sounds like Vivek Pastrami talk. Here's from Newsweek. Donald Trump warned of move that could break MAGA coalition.
Not Epstein, this. Okay.
So listen to what Charlie Kirk said. Listen to Charlie Kirk said.
But you would think that, hey, we get $175 billion for ICE. We're going to get mass deportations.
So in the big, beautiful bill, there's $175 billion.
Damn, can you imagine if the machine started turning inward? Like Palantir gets fully up and running with everybody's, private information tied in a way that the government could only dream of. And then all this ICE money and some dystopian alternative and all this ICE money now because of mass amnesty and shit is just getting turned inward on the citizens of the United States. Can you imagine? Obviously, we're just talking complete theory. But when you put in, yes, real ID, when you put in the digital dollar, when you put in Palantir, when you put all of these things together, it seems very fucking dystopian, doesn't it? Isn't it weird?
Dollars for ICE. So he's saying, oh, they're going to do mass deportation. No, they're just going to build an infrastructure of prisons, right? So that's money going to private prison industry. That's the next step. I've always said this. So capitalism, when capitalism gets in its end stage, capitalism eats itself. When it gets into its end stage, after you've screwed all the workers and the regular people, you've siphoned all the money out of it, you've created a two-tier society of super poor and hardworking and super wealthy. They then have to, instead of fixing the problems, they just create a police state. Mm-hmm. This is not me talking. This has been talked about, predicted by genius people for hundreds of years, that the end stage capitalism is fascism. And we've already had fascism a lot since at least 9/11. We've had we live in a surveillance state. Edward Snowden proved that. So you don't have any of those Fourth Amendment protections you thought you had. We live in a surveillance state. Also,
yeah, the Five Eyes, we got around our amendment by having other countries spy on us, and we let them. And so, like the NSA and all that stuff. Isn't that crazy? And then now you could get labeled a terrorist by the government. We've already killed a United States citizen. Obviously, he was a weirdo and with terrorist organizations, but we drone striked a United States citizen. That set a precedent, right? The Patriot Act, guys. The Patriot Act. You could get labeled a terrorist and be in detention indefinitely. What lawyer? Man, oh man, are your rights slipping all around you? You have no idea because it moves so slow. This is the frog being boiled alive slowly. The temperature barely rises. You don't notice it.
What they did during COVID was they could shut down your business. They could make it illegal for you to go outside. They can force you to take an experimental medical treatment. They could do that was 100% fascism. And now that's now comes the police state. And that's what that money's going to be used for. But let's listen to what Charlie Kirk has to say about amnesty. Listen to this. This might blow your mind. You already heard Trump say the people on the right are going to be okay with me giving amnesty. That's basically what he said. Here's what Charlie Kirk says.
But you would think that, hey, we get $175 billion for ICE. We're going to get mass deportations. We're going to be able to have now the largest deportation effort ever. Yes, in theory. But in practice, there's something else afoot. Literally, the day before President Donald Trump was signing the big, beautiful bill, I got a couple phone calls from people that you would call members of the ruling class. A lot of money and a lot of connections. They said, Charlie, isn't this amazing? We passed the big, beautiful bill. I said, oh, yes, sir. And they said, now we need mass amnesty. What? I said, we haven't even signed the bill yet. They said, yeah, these deportations, we're going to lose the midterms because of the deportations. The people on the right, they'll understand. And we need to come to the middle and we need to legalize the 25 million people here in this country. I was speechless. Because here I am actually thinking, a little naive, we're going to sign this big, beautiful bill, and we're actually going to get mass deportations uninterrupted from an asymmetrical attack. So we have somewhere between 20 to 50 million illegal aliens in this country. We don't actually know the numbers. These are all guesstimates. These are all just approximations. And there is a movement afoot as I am doing this broadcast, and this is bigger than anything with Epstein. This is bigger than anything with tax cuts. It is happening right now in Washington, D.C., and I can say this from firsthand experience, that people are pushing President Trump for amnesty. They are pushing him for mass legalization of illegals. Now, President Donald Trump, of course, would never push for amnesty, but President Donald Trump said something at a rally on July 3rd, and my phone lit up like you wouldn't imagine. President Donald Trump was talking about potentially doing a bipartisan compromise deal for illegals that have stolen Social Security numbers, that are illegally domiciling themselves here in the country, that are all felons. Every single one of them are felons. They're just not yet indicted felons. But if they're here illegally, you're a felon. It's against federal law. We've gone through all the different federal laws that you break by being here.
Holy
and this is
shit.
President Donald Trump speaking at the...
It pays to be a criminal. Crime pays. That's the message we got. Hey, come here illegally. It'll be good. You'll get amnesty. You'll be given, you know, you could steal Social Security cards, you could get driver's license, you can mooch off welfare, you could do whatever you want. You go to Sanctuary City, you're good. You're good, bro. Break the rules. We will reward you. Crime pays. That's the message.
The Iowa rally saying that we might need to do some form, he didn't use the word amnesty, but some form of soft amnesty. And I can tell you now, through other reporting that I've been able to do and phone calls, there is a major push right now to do a bipartisan amnesty deal, a major push. People are trying to push the president, hey, you got the money for ICE, now we need to go move to the middle on immigration.
So,
Wow, Charlie. Hey, the big beautiful bill was a big piece of shit. You didn't know that, Charlie? Like, you were great. We passed if they told you the truth about anything. That's where you live.
Trump has, this is according to Newsweek, Trump has prioritized immigration enforcement, and he campaigned on a promise of mass deportation. Last month, he directed federal immigration officials to prioritize deportations from Democrat-run cities after protests erupted in Los Angeles and other cities against the administration's immigration policies. But at the same time, he reportedly told U.S. Immigration and ICE to pause arrests on farms, restaurants, and hotels amid an alarm at the impact aggressive enforcement is having on industries that heavily rely.
Bruh. Come on, man. Oh my God. Are you tired of winning yet? Nothing ever happens is beginning to be true. Nothing ever happens. I used to read those comments and be like, shut the fuck up. Nothing ever happens. Something's always, no, nothing ever happens for normal people. Nothing ever happens for the voters. Nothing. But something's always happening for big business and the government. Just nothing ever happens for you. That's what it is. Yeah? That's what it is. They don't care, red or blue, they don't care about you. You will not vote your way out of this. When you have internalized the message that you are not going to vote your way out of a corrupt system, period, then we can begin having a real conversation on what it's going to take. Okay? Don't tell me to go vote for the next Republican. Don't tell me to go vote for the next Democrat. They peddle, or they are fucking child diddlers. I don't give a fuck. At least there's too many child diddlers around that even if there's a good one, he's not going to be able to get anything done because he's surrounded by crooks. They save themselves from being implicated in child diddling. And now all of a sudden, big business is saying, hey, bro, we're losing a lot of money. And we're going to need you to slow it down on this shit. And also looking at the midterms ahead, this is deeply unpopular and we're going to lose. Isn't this what we voted for? Shouldn't we be doubling down? Isn't that the whole fucking point that you were put in office? We want them all out of here. Don't give a fuck about the impact on businesses. They shouldn't be hiring illegals in the first place. Those jobs should be going to Americans. Isn't that the whole fucking point? Wow. Yeah, nothing changes for the better. That's correct. Oh my God. Yeah.
Sovereign_fish $5. Stack sats and chill. Know the rules of the game and act accordingly. No one is coming to save you.
Preach. Thanks, brother. Yeah. No one's coming to save you. You're not getting bailed out. There's no politician that'll save you and make your life easier. Period. You have to find a way out yourself. This is why so many men especially are now voting with their wallets, voting with their feet, that they're leaving the system that doesn't serve you. You're paying taxes into a system that clearly does not give a shit, does not prioritize you, and you're the last thing on the list. And we'll literally snake charm you and tell you that while we need your vote for now just to get elected, and please, we're going to promise you that we're going to do all these things, just know that afterwards, go fuck yourself until we need you another 2 years or 4 years later. How many more times do you have to see this cycle for what it really is? That's the sad part. Yeah. Let's get into today's episode, actually. Oh my God, man. Sad state of affairs, honestly. Over here. All right. Spain is popping off right now. I haven't even seen what's happening. There's so much shit like happening in the news cycle on a weekend. I can't even keep up anymore. The world seems to be like burning in the West. Honestly, it's insane.
Mr. Zoli to 777 sent 5,000 yen. Moved to Japan 2015 at 25 to pursue my goals.
Wow.
Went from teaching to sales engineer, to AWS Japan, to a field service engineer at a medical device company in Tokyo. After 2 exes and many dates, it took 9 years before I found my green flag GF24 at 33.
Good shit, bro. Proud of you, bro. Show people the way. Let them know. So today, I appreciate you. And it's yeah, this is what I said when men are voting with their feet, changing their life overseas. I know it's not the answer for everybody, but for those that can and do, they are rewarded.
Isaac sent $5. Welcome chat to today's episode of This Week in Stupid.
Pretty much. Pretty much, man. I mean, what? It's disheartening. It's black pill. You know, politics has gotten black pilled essentially. Now you get to see what's really going on. Now you get to see that you never really had a shot and that your vote is actually meaningless. Now you get to really internalize that and swallow it. It's brutal. But once you do, we can actually start to make a difference. We can actually start to vote independent if possible. We can actually start to make a third party. We can actually start, you know, a lot of this happens at the local level first. The thing that you're affected by the most is the local level, your town, your city, your state. The federal government, unfortunately, is too far away, hard to reach, and you know, making a change to that nasty ass swamp of a machine is going to take some time and unfortunately money in the billions, and we don't have it. Yeah. Yeah, you can make an actual impact at the local level. Nationally, it might take a while, but you're not gonna. Local voting works, but national voting doesn't. Yeah, that's the difference. Someone said, unfortunately, a third party will just mean 3 bad choices instead of 2. Yeah, but if the third party can swing enough, just enough, to start getting money out of politics to reverse all the horrible policies, because the 2-party system doesn't work. We have no other choice. We have no other choice. We need a third-party system. Yeah. So the only way to disrupt it is by changing the status quo. That's it. That's the only way. Locally, you can make a difference for your community, but you don't really. It's hard on the national level. So, you know, once midterms come, I mean, the only way is to somehow have regular Joe Schmoes get voted in mass without billions of dollars, right, to get primaried into, you know, the Senate, the House, and all this stuff. So then, and then how do you make it so that these people don't get bought out? I don't know, man. It's so fucking complicated. Yeah, if you even somehow get funded, how do you withstand being primaried by the opposite team for hundreds of millions of dollars, getting smeared on news, or just outright bought and offered, like, here's $20 million, do what the fuck we say, you'll be set for the rest of your life, your family's good, that's it. Keep your mouth shut. Yeah, it's not. It's kind of fucked. Man. Certainly, it'll be interesting if you survive. Yeah, because if you somehow have like character and stand on your morals and principles, yeah, hopefully you survive, bro. Seems like that's the last option that they usually employ. Anywho, let's get into the war on masculinity. Do a deep dive on this. I'll read you guys the little monologue, and then we'll jump into an analysis on what's going on here. So, the war on masculinity. And I started it off like this. The rules completely changed. Every cultural norm that built strong men got shredded. And most guys are now barely waking up to the scam. But everybody can feel this. It's a nagging sense that what made your grandfather a legend is now labeled toxic, and it's working against you. That playing by the old rules gets you divorced, gets you broke, and alone, while soy boy simps get patted on the head. You're not actually paranoid for understanding what's happening in the world today. It's not a surprise either, by the way. The game rigged itself. They just didn't announce it to any of us, but slowly they've been working under the cover to make this happen. And what happened was that essentially institutions discovered that they could neuter men without any consequences, right? They could demand compliance without building any strength. They could break the male spirit, and they expect you to keep grinding, and nothing happens for them. Nothing collapses. Society is still working. Have you noticed that? Yeah? Your school wants boys sitting still like girls, but medicates the hell out of them when they fidget just a little bit. Your media portrays dads as bumbling idiots, while strong women save the fucking day. How many more movies do we need of a special forces woman soldier that's 5'2" beating up a group of 6 men in a hallway? How many more do we need, right? The dating apps, it's endless hypergamy, where you're just a wallet until she upgrades. Every system wants passive betas while punishing alphas. Okay, this isn't how it was. Men used to lead families. We used to build empires, protect tribes. Governments used to honor warriors. Jobs rewarded grit and muscle, right? Universities forged thinkers, not victims. The shift hit fast, dude. Maybe in just 40 years this happened. But the last 2 decades went fucking nuclear with Me Too. You remember that? Porn floods on every man's brain and offshored every fucking factory so there's no more jobs. You probably know a guy, everybody here does, that got divorced, raped after 15 years. He lost his kids, and he's a cash cow to a system that favors her empowerment. You probably swipe through apps where 80% of the women chase the top 20% of men. We know this. It's factual. Leaving the rest as emotionless tampons. Yeah? You probably have a buddy whose T levels tanked from stress and screens, turning him into a depressed fucking couch potato. It's not bad luck. This is deliberate disarmament. This is how you have to see this. And that's the part that should piss you off the most. They're not even hiding this shit anymore. Feminists openly brag about smashing the patriarchy while ignoring male self-delete rates that have quadrupled women's. Corporations ship your fucking job to China and then lecture you on diversity. And then the hub pumps free dopamine hits to fry your brain and kill your drive. They know you see this happening. They just bet that you'll stay passive. That's the problem, right? The younger generations get called incels or losers for opting out of this. But they're the only ones who get the new rules. They watch their dads get gutted for being providers. They saw alpha traits criminalized in one viral tweet. Their weakness, it's not a flaw, it's just surviving in the gynocentric shit show we're in. Most men are trapped in denial. Knowing the war is one thing, but they're too emasculated to fight it in the first place. They see the traps, but they think sucking it up is manly. They're like cucks who know they're being used, but they can't walk away. And the only way to flip this script is when you understand that your masculinity is the firepower, and you've been handing it over for scraps, right? These systems, they need your compliance more than you need their validation. They built the matrix where you never realize that you're that fucking battery, and they're sucking the juice out of you. Think about what happens when men stop swallowing this blue pill, when guys quit simping for likes from companies that fucking hate them, when fathers demand fair courts instead of alimony slavery, when brothers ditch porn for real conquest in the real world, touching grass, right? The facade starts to crumble. We're not talking theory. This is happening now, by the way. The whole manosphere and its boom, it's not misogyny, it's just men rejecting the bullshit. This whole political backlash, it's not right-wing rage, some red pill awakening. It's just seeing the truth. The system is broken. Same with the fertility crash. It's not coincidence. A lot of men are saying no to rigged families and that women aren't good enough to marry anyways and have kids with. Every institution is panicking because the men are starting to unplug, right? You see all the reports about massive amounts of men that will not step into the worker pool. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not some tinfoil hat shit. It's just men are just saying something simple like, fuck this, I'm building my own empire in my own little life. The male code, they didn't update this shit for the 21st century of what they wanted us to be. They fucking tried to erase it completely. And we're going to lay it out scam by scam from every sector, showing you exactly how they did this, top down, and maybe how to deal with what's coming down the pipeline, because it's not looking good. You know, the old masculinity is under the whole toxic umbrella today because it's all control. They basically tuned every part of the system to drain men dry. And they've succeeded for the most part. All right? They depend on you to be passive. They depend on your porn habits, your child support payments. Without that shit, they'd be exposed as empty shells. All their code would be broken. Instagram, OnlyFans, all this shit lives off of men's backs. It does not survive without men. What do you think? YouTube is like 80% male or more, something like that. The internet is overwhelmingly male. Masculinity will come back one way or another, but the question will be, are you going to sit out or try to get ahead of what they're doing? And that's what we're trying to break down here. And that's the saddest part of all, man. This West, it's like in lockstep falling apart. I mean, you see it here. I'll buy a robot. There you go. That's like the bug sandwich right there. I'll just get a robot and die out, right? Why does society want men weak and passive and buying sex bots? It's very simple. They don't just tolerate weak men. They're engineering them. They want compliant betas to fuel the consumer machine. You vote predictably and you get discarded without a fuss. The war isn't woke nonsense. It's a calculated takedown to neuter the threats to the status quo. It's backed by your crashing T levels, the rigged courts, and a dating meat grinder that turns you into the disposable ATM, the walking fucking wallet, right? That's what it is. The evidence for 2025, we already have it. We have plummeting labor participation, divorce rape is rampant, porn-fried brains are fucking everywhere, the mass gooning. You saw it in the last few streams. The moment a chick passes by on the stream with her tits halfway out, the chat quadruples in activity, gooning themselves out. They can't even finish the stream. They gooned early, right? The system wants you weak. It's very easy. You all got the hypergamous dating that priced average Joes out is now society pricing average Joes out because you don't fight back. You're too busy gooning it up. You're too busy playing the next whatever just came out, watching the next season of whatever. You're distracted. And even when you try, you're too gooned out of your fucking mind to do anything about it. You've given up. Given up. So we've established now that it's open male, or it's open season on male strength. It's blatant, in your fucking face. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. Why? Well, think about it. Traits that make you assertive are threats to them. They reward soy boy compliance. That's why you saw videos of like, every man should be weak. It's not weak to cry. Because why? Empowered men topple fucking elites. All the corruption goes away. Docile ones line their fucking pockets, right? So where was this historical shift? How did this fucking start? It started before 1980. Masculinity used to mean provisioning, protection, right? Dominant societal backbone. That's what it was. And you were rewarded for having these traits with respect and family. Now, it got labeled as patriarchal oppression by feminists. It got swapped for being emotionally fragile and crying like a bitch and being a victim, wholesale. Everyone's a fucking victim today. My life is so hard. Even the new Superman, someone just wrote, the new Superman is weak. Exactly. There's a massive cultural pivot. We had rugged individualism, right, to collective conformity, where standing out gets you canceled. You must go with the message, what the groupthink is. You cannot stand out. You know, the nail that sticks out gets hammered. Individuality is done. We used to reward, like, do you remember the 80s, the 70s, and even early 90s movies? They were all buff, jacked, roided out fucking super soldier movies, military shit, fighting fucking aliens. Hell, we even had aliens, literally, where they made a strong woman character. You remember that? Do you guys remember that? They even wrote strong women. And then today, you got the woke version of that where, what was it? She-Hulk was twerking in the fucking office being a lawyer. It's insane. It's insane. So, you look at some of the key indicators of decline, for example. Since 1980, appreciate you, Joshua, testosterone has been plunging 1% a year. We've been getting poisoned since 1980. Young men today have half of their grandparents' levels in testosterone. You can blame things like plastics, the soy diets, and the sedentary lifestyle. So that's where we tried to make America healthy again. And then it seems to not be working quickly enough. Something as simple as a food dye is a problem. We need to give companies years to institute it. Right? When you adjust for BMI, low T, because we've had levels dropping from 1999 to 2016 in T levels, right? Low T gives you a low drive. You're highly compliant. You like to probably fuck dudes in dresses. You let the government screw you in the ass. You don't have the balls to stand up and potentially get hammered or go against the message. That's why they want soy boys. That's why they want low T levels. That is why your food is poisoned. Is it a conspiracy theory to say this, or is it what's actually happening in society? Strong men create good times. You heard it, right? Weak men create hard times. We're in the harvest phase. It's elites that are reaping all our masculinity, sucking it up. Where's the ground zero? Think about it. Where does this happen? Schools, where boys get drugged, right? Dumbed down like they're faulty girls. They say that all the time, right? They're basically like, it's a feminized kill zone. Zero tolerance for boy energy. Curricula is built for verbal sit-still compliance type learning. Boys are lagging half a grade by 8th grade behind girls. Then they get suspended 2.5 times more. That preps them for failure, not leadership. Think about what kind of school system we've built for our young men. And then the education system itself in general. Boys get left behind. Remember, No Child Left Behind? I love how that was a thing. It gets rigged against you as a boy from kindergarten. How? Think of this, guys. 77% are female teachers with bias against, what do you think? Rough play is bad, and they'll label it ADHD and get you medicated, yeah? So boys start to disengage, they'll drop out, they'll enter adulthood handicapped. That's perfect for a system that wants drones, not men that think for themselves, traditionally masculine men, right? We have now a gender gap in achievement in schooling. Girls crush reading and writing by full grades. And boys edge math, but it's irrelevant. In the verbal heavy world, we don't give a fuck about STEM, right? Global boys out of school, edge girls, from 129 million versus 122 million, right? And UK boys, for example, in the UK, this is how bad it is. They're failing every metric. Every early metric, a boy is behind a girl, but somehow all funding goes to young girls. Imagine that. Imagine that. How many boys do you think get expelled from like preschool and up? And then that right there funnels them to juvie or welfare. Think about that. Why? He was too excited. Why? Because we're doing boring presentations. Why? Because they learn with their hands. They're energetic. They want to be moving, doing things. Okay, so that's what you call systemic bias, right? We've ditched competition, because that's mean, for collaboration. That ignores the way boys are wired completely, right? And our outcome is what? We get higher male unemployment, a ton of crime, right? And this is like cannon fodder for the prison industrial complex. We want the system to break like this and have people fall through the cracks, young boys, because that feeds the prisons, private prisons that profit off of prisoners. How fucked is that? That's our system. That's real. Isn't that insane? Schools don't educate boys. They fucking castrate them. They turn them into sheep for the slaughter. That's what's crazy. All right. Did school crush your spirit as a boy? Do you have I'm curious for the chat. Do you have a core memory of schools crushing what it means to be a young boy? How many of you were probably medicated in some way or another? It's shocking how common boy energy, whatever they want to call it, is beaten out of us. At an early age, you were told to stop. You're being bad. Look at that. That's crazy. And one person said, I was lucky. I had good male teachers. That's so rare. Yeah. So that leads into the next part. Think about it. The media assault. Why are we always portrayed as bumbling buffoons and idiots or villains now, right? We're all portrayed on TV or movies as clowns or creeps. And they normalize that all men are clowns or creeps, right? The dumb husband, the predatory villain, the, emasculated hero. Even if a man somehow is a hero, he's sort of a bitch in entertainment today, right? This is brainwashing, guys, to make strength suspect. Weakness is aspirational in our society. We live in an inverse world. Strength is really weakness, and weakness is really strength, right? This is Hollywood's agenda. Strong women rise on the backs of weak men. Ads will depict dads as idiots, reinforcing that real masculinity is something sort of outdated, right? And dangerous, right? Conditioning all the betas to stay in line and be good little boys.
Cheers to Thefome sent $5. God bless my mom, she had me run around block after every line of multiplication tables as kid. Integrating physical activity with boring school work.
Good mom, definitely.
Walton sent $5. I was medicated and was told then by my teacher in middle school not to talk because she didn't like my deep voice.
Jeez. Isn't that insane? Listen to that. You got medicated in middle school? Man, some of these don't even seem believable, but it happens to so many. That's what's crazy. Unreal. 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 Can you imagine medicating a young child just because he sounded too much like a man? Look, another one said they try to put me on ADHD meds. Jesus. Yeah. Unreal. The stereotypes, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Nice shirt. I'll open up the store again, guys. I just have to do a whole new shop. So, shirts will be available soon. But going back to the stereotypical depictions in the media, by the way. The new male that they have, right? The soft-spoken, can't look you in the eyes, right? Women are now dominant. Music videos that glorify violent males, but they'll vilify them, yeah? So there is no good man anymore. It's just a soft bitch or a violent man. That's it. There's no in between. There's nobody with any character or values that you would like to replicate. That's it. And weak men are always propping up some sort of strong woman. She's the heroine of the story that saves the world, right? The power imbalances are essentially twisted to demonize you as a man. And it's cultural reinforcement because it's a self-perception thing. You start to internalize that boys are just incompetent, that girls are somehow better. Right? This seeds the hypergamous hell that you're living in. You know, the media isn't mirroring society. It's molding it, guys. It forges men to see themselves as like one trope at a time. That's what it's like. And then you have, you know, the waves of feminism that dismantled patriarchy, as they say, but like overshot. Dramatically, it wasn't even about equality. It was like superiority is what they want, supremacy. Right? They vilified masculinity and they ignored the disposability of males completely, wholesale, right? Men pay the price in courts, in job, in culture, but the real equity, the real equality that they asked for, never talked about it, never at all. The feminist double-edged sword, right? Was it actually empowerment or just emasculating men? What was it? Because it liberated women, but at what cost? To our boys, right? The toxic label suppresses our natural drives in society, but female privileges keep stacking up. Isn't that weird? Divorce courts that get so much custody biases prove that this shit's not equal. It's a rigged game. Think about it. Makes no sense for
Scotsman
equality.
in Spain sent €5. Whenever I got bullied at school, I would always be reprimanded for defending myself.
Of course you are. You're supposed to get picked on. You're supposed to be bullied. You're supposed to be defenseless. You're not supposed to stick out. That's what they want you to do. They're like training you that when somebody steps on you, that what you should be doing is nothing. That's social engineering, right? Zero tolerance. Because you fought back, you're now kicked out of school. You're expelled. What do you think that does to you? It's all by design. Because who never gets in fights? Girls. Hardly ever, right? So when you look at this double-edged sword and the positive and negative impacts, the upside is that, if you could even call this an upside, that it does encourage males to be, what would you say, emotionally more open and not be so rigid with themselves. Fine, right? But it does amplify the masculinity crisis in every other fucking metric imaginable. They overlook male burdens, right? Everything is anti-male. They never say that it's for real equality. I mean, what's a man good for? They constantly say that. Men aren't shit. What does it say? That men don't matter, that they're not important in society. How does that make any sense? And that's what caused the gender divide. Our men don't get supported in these equality pushes. We're always the ones perpetrating all the issues, aren't we? What equality for men? We're in the superior position. If anything, we should keep losing more and more, right? There's no empathy for you, but there's empathy for everybody else. When's the last time you got any empathy? Please. When do they see the struggles of young men? Even when they talk about like mass unemployment, they never really bring a young man on there to talk about what it's like being unemployed with no future and the ladder got pulled up from under your feet before you could even reach for the next step. They never talk to young men. It's always women talking about what's happening. Yeah? So that's causing a cultural fallout. Men are the perpetual oppressors. Women are always victims. And it ignores data like the self-delete rates, right? Feminism didn't level the playing field at all. They just tilted that shit in their favor. And we as men as a whole got made into villains into their story. We're always oppressing them. We're holding them back somehow, some way, right? If you asked men in chat, was feminism good for society? I mean, it might be a biased chat to ask, but what benefits did we get? It was there equality or female supremacy. I think most people say it went too far and we got female supremacy of some sort. It's not helping anybody, all right? And then you have to get into the whole economics of the deal. None. None. What benefits have you gotten from the equality of feminism? That's the point. That was never equal from the first place. That's the point, right? So they shipped our jobs overseas. This is the economic factor that we're talking about. Bankrupted a bunch of families. They rigged dating and divorce. So dating and divorce, right? And child support. And men are getting fucked from every single side. That's the truth. Globalization, the globalist, whatever fucking name you want to give them, blue collar jobs, they gutted all of them. They offshored all our manufacturing for cheap labor hellholes, right? Now we have sky high family costs. Hypergamous dating is everywhere, and divorce rape, makes starting a legacy almost suicidal for the average Joe. It's not that men are lazy. This whole notion that men are lazy, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you fucking bum, when you're priced out and penalized by trying anyway. That's the issue. I'd love to pull myself up, old timer, but you fucking took all the stairs from the ladder as you climbed your way up. You know the average house is $120,000 today. I mean, pull myself up from what? My own asshole? Thanks, bro.
Isaac sent $5. In order for them to bring an average man on the show, they would first need to find an average man.
Yeah, there's plenty of, yeah. Nobody wants to hear from an average man, though. That's the point. They don't care. That's why it's not balanced. It's never, yeah. They'll bring some uber rich guy or a bunch of, like a boomer will speak on behalf of all men today, or a bunch of fucking harpies. But they never ask a normal guy. Pull yourself up by your own asshole, bro. Please. So, what is this economic shit show and the family implosion, right? We went from breadwinners as men to broke fucking doormats in literally a few generations. Someone said, boomer stole your boots and gave them to an illegal alien. Holy shit. Wow. So offshoring, right, that decimated male sectors, especially white men, when you add in DEI. You can't afford kids? Well, tough shit, bro. Die alone, right? The cost is in total around $300,000. Wage have stagnated. Costs have exploded everywhere. The job market is in a full fucking blown panic. It's absolute carnage. Offshoring hit us first, then automation, and now you factor in AI replacing even whatever jobs are left here. So, you know, they shipped all our shit overseas, things like NAFTA, everything. We have a service economy, and then a service sector economy favors who? Women. Women do a bunch of the service jobs, probably glucking their way up the ladder. Duh. How many more babysitting jobs out there where they're just eating lattes, dicking around at work, having 1 or 2 Zoom calls, and they call that a job? It's a complete clown show, right? Do you know that 7.2 million men have dropped out of the workforce? And of those 7.2 million are the young men that are hit the hardest in that statistic. Those numbers are fucking insane, right? So when you have an earnings crash, what do you think happens to marriage viability? No provider role, no family, no woman. No woman wants you. They literally call you, I'm not joking, economically unviable men. You hear that? You're not a human being. You're just economically unviable. Wow. Boy, does that get you hard for marriage and kids, yeah? So that's also, apart from, because we've covered the toxic dating and the family traps, yeah? We know hypergamy. We know how many times women swipe right. It's only on the top 5% of men. We know that they all filter if they could, especially by income and height. You're a wallet. You're a fucking doormat for validation, then you get discarded. Did you know that they polled men? I think it was somewhere on Reddit where I was reading this. I don't know how. The statistics were over half of them were opting out. The risk, they said, was too high in a provider or bust culture. And the divorce rates are fucking insane. Women are initiating 80% of the divorces. And the custody to moms historically is given how much? 80 to 90%. The child support bias crushes the dad. Yeah, in 2025, men are sperm donors at best. You know, the economics didn't evolve. It fucking eviscerated men. You know, jobs are gone. Families are unaffordable. Dating's a fucking scam. Divorce is essentially a wealth transfer. No wonder the betas are multiplying. Who do you think anything other than a beta would accept this kind of life? How many people here in the chat have like a hypergamy horror story where you just walked in on your girl just getting bagged by 2 dudes or some crazy shit, or some guy in here that used to be married and now he's got a divorce rape story? How many? One, if you have one of those 2 stories, and 2, if no, everything went well for you and like you got a great life, found your one, and you're good to go, right? 1, if you've had a fucking nightmare dealing with women. There you go. There you go. We have occasional 2s. I got lucky. We have 3. 3 said, I never touched a bitch ever in my life. Okay. I haven't found anyone. So the 3s are out the game complete. Gotcha.
Isaac sent $5. When I was in MCT, we were trained on to dehumanize the enemy in order to do certain actions. What's going on now feels familiar.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, I guess you can call it social engineering, no? That's really what it is. So, okay. I guess we could get into what's happening next. What? Biological. The biological kill shot. How many people goon? How many of you, not only do you goon, but do it multiple times, just gooning nonstop? How porn fried is your brain? Do you understand, right? Porn addiction essentially inhibits brain areas. Your brain breaks when you're gooning, right? Then you have an issue viewing women as an object and you're a goon spree. You're a mega gooner, right? That causes ED. There are guys that goon so hard, they even have women. There's guys that have girlfriends or wives and they're goon machines, goon wizards of the highest degree, and their dick doesn't work with their woman. Can you imagine that? You literally have a piece of puss in front of you and you're so gooned out of your mind that she could be in front of you naked and it does nothing. Because if there's not 6 midgets, a horse, and some other shit in the scene, it does nothing for you. You're a supreme goon wizard. What the fuck? So that shit fries your fucking motivation. It breeds betas. It's insane, bro. And think about that shit. Why do you think testosterone is down by 50% or more? Even in non-obese people. Think about that. So what do we have for evidence of the decline? What could the goon wizards? Oh my God. Dude, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. How many people, I just want to know before we continue on, how many people here have had an issue? This was one of the most, I want to say, this was probably one of the most incredible things for me to find out when we did the Spartan Challenge is that men struggle with adult entertainment more than anything else. They could get on a diet. They could quit eating shitty food. They could give up video games. They could start reading books. They could meditate. They could do a lot of things. But when it came to Goon Town, they couldn't leave it. They were stuck in there. Who else is dealing with that kind of shit? Yeah. I've seen horror stories of the massive gooning that has taken place in male minds, like stupendous levels. Rip masculinity to Europeans. I mean, I get what you're saying, but gooning affects every man in the world today, no matter your skin color. We have a interesting relationship with adult entertainment, the same way women have an interesting relationship with social media, and the way it fries our brains is the way social media does women. That's why when I always tell you guys, like, social media is the biggest predictor of your relationship succeeding or failing, and her relationship with it. It really is. If you have a decent woman, she's not going to be... That's their version of goon. So if a chick is on there nonstop, she's a mega goon for that stuff. All right? It fries the same dopamine receptors, both in them and us. It's crazy the effects it has. Let me check something here. It says the problem is gooners can now directly pay the host. Okay. So, I mean, men are actually funding all the degeneracy. It goes back to what we said earlier, why they want weak soy boys. You're funding fake relationships. You're funding OFANs. You're funding women bad behavior by DMing them. Men are funding literally all the degeneracy in society. When we said like that, men are the pillar that keeps up this degenerate behavior happening. It's men. That's why I blame this stuff on us, right? So porn not only fries your brain, but it fucks you up with like addiction, dude. It makes you hyperactive to cues, right? And it isolates you. You will start to objectify your woman. You lose intimacy drive. Your dopamine has hijacked you for being a passive beta. You goon it out. Yeah, it rewires synapses. You goon it out. And then you don't want to do anything anymore. That's what's insane. Let me see something here, boys. We seem to I can't see chat. Frozen. My PC has died over 1 million tabs. My PC gooned out on me. Let me figure out. Anybody know on a Mac how to force a Mac literally to like close Chrome out? We need a better supercomputer. Yeah, we're using a Mac. First time in its history it's ever frozen on me. Control-Delete. We did that. How do I bring up the activity monitor? I have to look at this in the funniest way imaginable. Oh, literally nothing's working. Okay. Boys, we might have to restart the stream. Click on force quit. Everything's frozen, even the Finder. Nothing I click on the laptop's doing anything. Too many tabs open. If the stream goes down, we'll restart it. Command Option Escape. Command Option Escape. That's probably, let's see. There we go. Thank you. Will that work? Even dude, the force quit application just came up and that even froze. Okay. Command Option Escape. I don't know what app caused me to crash. Okay, I'm gonna have to force power down everything. Shift Control Escape. Oh, hold on. Okay, we're gonna restart. Be right back. I'm gonna power off everything.